Turn up the volume. Get bearded. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Bearded Biomed.
Hey everybody, we're sitting down at, I guess, the first ever table talk here at Bearded Biomed. Danielle, Robert, Pamela, appreciate you sitting down with me. It's been a really cool conference. I think this is a good time. We just kind of take it in and just talk about what's coming. There's a lot of really interesting conversations that I think we've all had over this weekend. So let's start off with one of the big announcements that you guys just dropped.
Yeah, so we are super excited that starting next year in June of 2026 at the AAMI Exchange, this event will be part of AAMI Exchange. So a dental summit will now be at the AAMI Exchange. We will have a dental pavilion on our expo floor. We have room for about 30 dental vendors, whether that's manufacturers or servicers. And we'll also have a stage and theater there where we can have education. And long term, we want to create a dental track as part of our education. And we'll also be doing technical training for the dental community as well. So we're just beyond excited about this. I know my colleagues are as well. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. We're doing this in partnership with Uptime Health, obviously, which grew this conference to what it is. And they're our platinum sponsor, whatever the right term is, for the next 4 years. So we're going to be working together really closely. And like you said, starting with the dental pavilion, we're going to have a theater in the pavilion. So there'll be education there. There's also going to be a technical training area.
Yes.
So we'll have a room for that. And then over time, we hope it does become a full track with the AAMI Exchange focused on dental servicing health. So.
Yeah, it's just so exciting because there's so many synergies there, right? You think of we have the sterilization area as well. There's a lot of sterility in dental servicing and in dental care. So I feel like with AAMI, it's just such a natural place for this to land because there's so much overlap between the dental servicing community along with the biomed community, because dental servicing is a subset or a specialty within biomed. So we're just so excited.
I will say that while Danielle and Robert were keynoting this morning and the Q&A occurred, I knew that AAMI was the right place for the members of this conference. They had so many ideas of where they wanted to raise the bar across the dental.
Immediately went to standards.
They did. They wanted
Exactly.
quality.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
what
had
the
the
topic?
ideas there.
Yeah.
It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And somebody made a point over the weekend too that dental and HTM have been segmented for far too long, even though, again, there's so much synergy and crossway collaboration already occurring. And the way healthcare is going too, there might be more dental practices joining hospital systems as is. There are already.
Yeah.
But the future's already there, the foresight and the vision of where that could be. And I mean, as a biomed, I don't like the idea of leaving any sector of HDM segmented to begin with. Everybody should have the same access to resources, training, education, and of course, standardization across their specialty.
Yeah.
Amen, Chase. I think that's exactly why we did this. Like, AAMI is a convener. We bring people together. And I think you said it so well. I mean, we don't want to leave any specialty or subset of our community out, because at the end of the day, we're all there to help patient care. We work on equipment through corrective and preventative maintenance, and through so many other areas of healthcare too, even thinking of sterilization. So it's just so natural, and we need to make sure that everyone is included. And like you said, everyone has access to resources, access to standards, because at the end of the day, that affects care and patient throughput. And that's what we're here for.
That path to the patient,
Mm-hmm.
the members here can actually enhance the solutions that are out there relative to that education. They have so many ideas, and it was coming out this morning. It was beautiful to see.
That's cool too. If you can also look on the forefront, and let's say we're able to get more clinicians, more dentists involved, and there's literally a congregation of every facet of healthcare, from the technician to the people providing the patient care. And then, what discussions could come from that, where you walk into an AAMI Exchange and you could literally tackle issues overnight and put a plan together with every individual from different sectors of healthcare. It's kind of cool, you know. It's got
Cool.
you
Yeah.
could Amy already.
Mhm.
You see imaging, you see sterilization. Now there's going to be a dental
Yeah.
area.
And we saw interest in the broader HTM community already when Janesh keynoted last year at AAMI Exchange. I mean, the room was paying very close attention to what he was laying out about the growth in the opportunity, you know, how dental care impacts health. It's all tied together. And so the interest to me, what I'm excited about is from both sides. This is not just folks on the dental side and the dental specialty saying, yeah, it makes sense to be a larger part of the HTM community. It goes both ways. Folks that are in sort of mainline healthcare are pretty interested in dental as well.
Yeah.
So,
And it's that
good
cross
to see.
pollination, right?
right.
Because when you think about it, we're at a deficit of people. And I know I say these stats all the time. People say, oh, Danielle comes out with this scary information, but it's so true, right? And when you think about it from that perspective, the dental folks now have access to all the other biomeds and technicians that will be there, right? So there's like this connection point. And then on the other end, for the other biomeds that are there and technicians, now they have access to a pathway that they might not even known about. Like they could go into dental specialty. And when we think of recruiting, you know, it really helps both ways because now you have a bigger group of people to pull from and that cross-pollination.
And I've been sort of sharing the story that I've been sharing about, you know, I only just discovered my dentist had a CT machine in the office
You
a
have to
year
tell
ago.
You got to tell it. It's too good.
Okay. I was going in for a root canal. The x-rays were kind of inconclusive, but the dentist said you have to have a root canal. And then when I got there, he got cold feet. And he said, maybe you don't have to have a root canal. And I said, well, which is it? And he said, I think you need a CT scan. Well, I thought he was talking about going down to the hospital, you know, and I was like, are you crazy? Just do the root canal. I'd rather that than wait, you know, to get the CT scan. Of course, walked in, they had the unit in the office, which I wasn't even aware of, and didn't have to have a root canal. So I love that machine. I absolutely love that capability is in the office now. And so you're seeing dentistry get more and more sophisticated. And in addition, you know, we all know that in many cases, dental outcomes will drive larger healthcare outcomes as well.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to see these leaps and bounds that are happening. And like you talked about with the merger, you know, first of all, dental practices are getting bigger. There's fewer independents. They're merging into larger and larger delivery organizations. Then you see integrated health systems starting to bring those dental practices in. I would assume that's only going to introduce even more technology, more capabilities, or at least more flow back and forth between the two. And so it's a good time to be doing this.
We could be down the line and, you know, you go in for your yearly checkup and then they're like, all right, go down the hall and get your teeth, your teeth same time.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ties to oral care to the rest of your, you know, body. You know, they found that a lot of the plaque you find in between your teeth is the same plaque you find in your heart. You know, it's, you know, good dental care starts with good health care. And, you know, people that don't have good oral care, there can be negative implications of that. And that all comes back to having access and working equipment to be able to detect that and make sure that people's teeth are taken care of the way they should be.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you guys. Also, you met a couple of the individuals today. There's biomeds already that have got.
Yes. I've met 2 or 3 of them that started.
They're
made the
very
jump.
successful. They've put years into it already. They're running their own business.
It's a great.
Yes. Which is
You know, out there for biomeds to transition and specialize in dental has already been paved.
Yeah.
So this isn't something new. We're just opening the pathways and the information to everyone else that maybe didn't know.
Right. All right. And you see for the established servicing companies, some of whom are here that are maybe at the medium size of the market. You know, you grow. And then there's this whole other opportunity. I don't remember what the stat was on how many independent dentist offices there are.
76,000 across
Yeah,
the country.
That's a lot of potential customers actually for those businesses.
And it comes out to over 5, like if you roughly assume that there's 5 bays in each, it comes out to roughly like 5 million individual medical devices between all of those two. And that doesn't count the dental that's inside hospitals or the VA and places like that.
I will say that the exhibitors have been commenting too that they're excited.
They're so
about coming
excited.
to vendor floor in Denver. So
Ready to get
that'll
some
be a lot of
May
that.
29th through June 3rd.
Yeah.
You'll be there at the convention center downtown. And it's really interesting too, because when you announce like a merger, you never know how people are going to feel about that. You know, there's always that chance where like, well, we love our small homegrown conference, but the reaction was the complete opposite. I mean, it has been met with enthusiasm. The amount of people we talked to
Yeah.
today, the people that even came up to you and me at lunch while we were eating. I mean, it's just, they've been welcoming it with open arms and are very, very excited. And many vendors came up to Robert and me and said, you know, we're ready to book our tables. So
Yeah, that was kind of
our
fun.
booth, it's not tables. Sherry would be upset if I call it a table.
She
so
would
it's
be
a
upset.
booth.
Caveat on that. Booths typically do have a table located.
There's a table in
You
the
know,
booth.
we're talking
but
some
yes,
storm.
I know, I know.
But it's a big show for folks that haven't been to Exchange.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many square feet the expo floor is, but
It's
quite
over
large.
60,000
Yeah,
square feet
yeah.
for sure. Over 170 vendors. Will be expanding it with dental. 3,000 people that attend. 9 tracks. A lot of fun. And a lot of it, yeah.
And only
The
3 days.
pavilion area.
Dental pavilion. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Usually after I experience an AAMI Exchange, I got to have like an unwinding for at least 3 weeks.
Right. We all do.
You know, and I have to say, just a segue really quick, it's unrelated to dental. When you talk about the size and the magnitude of our show, like to me, it feels like magic. Like we show up and you the floor, by the time we get there, the floor is like somewhat built. It's going up. Everything is.
Yeah. You only show up when all the work's done. What's that about?
Excuse me, sir.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead with your point. Go ahead.
Hey,
I carried a table
How's
today.
been here longer than it.
They're younger.
For a year.
They're longer. You can lose my train of thought. But no, so like we show up and it's partially built out, right? And then you walk into that opening, all the vendors are there. And then, the next day, because we always have to stay afterwards, you walk back by there and there's nothing. It's just, and you're like, holy cow, like we just had this amazing event with thousands of people and this amazing floor. It's almost like a wedding, like all this builds up to it and then all of a sudden it's done. But it's just so miraculous how it comes together and then in an instant, like the amount of work and all the teams that we have that work behind the scenes to make that all come to life. Like I call it magic every year that we're there.
Yeah.
Cool. It'll be the first time I get to go to Colorado too. So
Oh,
Really?
that's exciting. You will love it.
Well, I hope
It'll
you
be a
take your
mile
week
high.
to unwind
Yeah.
in Colorado.
I was going to say drink water.
We'll be
Yeah,
running
there you go.
around doing the
We're gonna-
remotes
we're
again.
Unlimited water for you, so don't worry about
water,
that.
and then I need y'all to issue me an oxygen.
Yeah, there we
Be out of
go.
breath.
There you go.
And
Well,
the
we'll
high
have an AED
elevation.
there.
Hey, how many
Yeah.
months out are we?
Yeah,
You've got time to
you got
train.
time to
Come
train.
on.
You
A little
gotta do
altitude
it. You gotta
training.
do it.
Yeah. I didn't think of it though. Now I'm worried. I hope I don't pass out on like the live show. That would be awful.
So I'll just revive you on air. It'd be
Maybe we
miraculous.
get a lot of views though. Maybe I should try and pass out on the live show.
You gotta take a siesta. I'll fill in for it.
Okay.
There you go.
You're
Go.
on.
I'll just
You're
push your
on.
face aside
Oh.
and you can jump in.
So I wanted to give you guys a shameless plug too, because I know you just recently launched your own podcast.
Yep.
You
That's
did.
her podcast. I just showed
So
up.
you're officially podcaster.
We are.
Join
We
the
are.
fun.
I really hope that we can live up to the bearded Biomed, that we make you proud. So
You have a beautiful setup though.
Yeah.
We're still tweaking. We're still
Yeah.
working out the kinks in terms of all the little things, like you talk about the magic of the show. Like
Yeah.
you have a beautiful logo and all that kind of stuff. And we did our first one. We didn't even have our logo yet.
no, not yet. But we have the
beautiful thing
fluted
that's
wall
kinda-
though. Wait till you
Yeah.
see the fluted wall. It's very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
We redid the wall. We got that done. But it's going to be great. And
Yeah.
What are we doing? 4 times a year?
Yeah, well, it's 3 times in studio, and then the 4th one is at
Oh, okay.
Exchange.
We'll
Okay.
call
So
Exchange
yeah,
the
well,
fourth one.
so yeah, we're gonna start quarterly, see what the engagement that we get. We're both very busy, so to try to do it like monthly
Right.
might be a lot. But we'll start quarterly and see
Yeah.
how it goes. Hopefully, we don't get into a fight and not want to do it
Well,
together.
it hasn't happened
anymore.
yet on air.
You like break up live on air.
Share the name. Share the
Oh yes, it's called From Basement to Bedside.
There you go.
So obviously, it needs no explanation.
And
Well-
we've got a sterilization podcast that's been out for a while now, focusing on that community. It's doing really well.
Mhm.
very well.
Yeah.
People really like it.
I give you some advice from podcaster to podcast. Consistency is everything. So just make sure you follow the schedule you lay out for yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
You don't want to disappear off the face of the earth for 6 months and
No,
show back up.
we would never.
And audio is always more important than video.
Boy, isn't that true?
That is.
Good
That's all.
advice.
If
That's
I can't
what-
hear you, then it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
that is
true.
very true. Very true. And it's gotten a lot easier now. a lot better than it used to be audio. So yeah, the better mics, better AI. We haven't even talked about it.
Yes.
When is AI going to make the scene in dentistry? I assume soon. I don't know what
Actually
it'll
talked
do.
about it with some of the predictive maintenance stuff.
Okay, yeah,
And,
that's
and
true. It's already built
one of the
in that way.
technicians we were talking to too says, you know, he uses AI a lot from his phone, that when they get an error code on a device that they've never seen before, you can put it in. It can help identify and quickly look things
There
up.
you go.
So yeah, and we were gonna have, and I invited Chase to be on our show at Exchange to talk about rural health.
Well, there you go.
So isn't that
Cool.
gonna be a great conversation?
Give a lot of
Alan
tips
Moriarty,
along the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
already.
Danielle are trying to put together a presentation so we can do that there.
Okay.
Rural health is important.
Major
My
topic.
entire career has basically been taking care of rural health. So
Yeah. And in Texas, that means a lot of hours in the car.
Yeah.
A lot of driving
does.
around.
You
Yeah.
said the same thing. We
It's
were
a
just
big
talking
state,
before. I'm
yeah.
like, in Massachusetts, you probably have like 1 or 2 rural hospitals because it's like, it's rare that you're an hour from a city, if
Right,
that, you
right.
know. So,
Yeah. It's
So
always
I-
shocking to
yeah.
people how far it is between cities in Texas.
yeah,
4 or 5 hours in some cases, or I mean, if you do the Dallas, Austin.
that's why you have
Houston.
Buc-ee's, right?
We have Buc-ee's. That's right. That'll get you there. At least you could stop. So,
And fun fact, at my trip for VBA, myself and my colleagues stopped at Buc-ee's because he talks about it nonstop, like it's going out of style. And I'd never even seen one before, so we stopped there and experienced Buc-ee's. What do you think of it?
I've lived in Texas my whole life, so the glamour is kind of worn off.
starting to wear off. 200 gas
Yeah.
pumps don't impress you anymore.
They have nice restrooms.
Yeah. Well, that was their
They-
whole
they
thing
were-
when it,
Yeah.
so Buc-ee's started in my hometown. That's our claim to fame where I grew up in Lake Jackson, Texas. Buc-ee's came from there, and it started out very small. But yeah, when I was coming up, there was a sign every 25 miles, like cleanest bathrooms
Yeah.
in
So-
Texas.
So, in,
That's how they got their start.
and last year we were in an annual operating plan meeting. In the middle of the meeting, I never forget, Robert's looking at his phone and he goes, "There's a Buc-ee's coming to Virginia." And I look at him, I'm like, "What
What's
is
a
that?
Buc-ee's?
Like, why are you excited about?"
Well, you guys have what?
You know-
Wawa?
No,
No,
excuse me.
What?
That's Jersey.
Okay,
That's
what do
very
you have?
different than
What do you have?
Massachusetts. I don't have anything.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah.
That's-
Okay. This has nothing to do with healthcare.
No, it
We got to
doesn't.
get back on
Let me
track.
tell you this though, I have 3 of the prominent AAMI folks sit right next to me.
Sure.
Yes.
So
Thank you
I
for
think,
saying that. We've
Yes, and we're
I
talking
don't know
about
if it's true.
Buc-ee's.
well, and also we got Pamela sitting right
Yeah,
next.
one version.
But I think it's also a good opportunity to, if I could put it plainly, what are some misconceptions that I think people have about AAMI that maybe you guys could help clarify? You know, because I'm in the
Yeah.
biomed world.
Let me jump in on this one.
Yeah,
Let me
there's
go.
a
Let's see if
lot
what
of-
I'm going to say is what you would have said.
Probably is.
I think there's some things that you guys probably attune to what your mission is,
Yeah.
how it's aligned, and just to clarify for folks.
Sure.
I think what I was going to say, and we'll see if it's what you were going to say, we are not a professional membership organization in the sense that many associations are, right? They're the professional home for a particular career field. They're there to serve. And the distinction is we're certainly there to serve and help develop folks in HDM and all the other areas that we serve. But the difference is just that we're serving many communities, not just one. And the other thing those professional membership organizations do that we don't is advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a lobbying arm. We don't go out and advocate on behalf of the profession in terms of policy or governance or things of that sort. Now, where it affects patient safety, where there might be an opportunity to promote the use of standards, to raise guidelines that make sense for the industry, we would do that. But that's probably the biggest misconception is when folks, and it's not specific to HDM, when folks come from one of our communities, they don't necessarily see all the work that we're doing for the other communities and they don't understand that intersection. And so that can sometimes create some frustration because that's not what we do, right? And what we are really there to do is to promote the safe and effective use of health technology. That's our mission statement, and we live and breathe it every day. And that involves all of these different stakeholder communities. And sometimes, frankly, their interests collide or their perspectives collide. But that's what makes our job fun is we have to figure a way forward,
Yeah, to find
even when they do. Find the path that's best for the patient, best for the clinical outcomes. So I think that's probably the most important thing for me, for folks to understand is we're not that professional membership organization in that way. Now, career development, all the other things you do, promoting the field,
Mhm.
absolutely. But there's some lines there.
And that neutral convener kind of role is a very powerful one that we actually do hope those engaged in AAMI leverage, because frankly, there's things that we can get done that if we were actually doing the be able
There's
to.
certain entities and organizations that will not do business or work with organizations that aren't.
Exactly. And that's how we get the FDA involved, the National Academy of Medicine, the American Hospital Association. They come to us and we have almost power and leverage because of our neutral position. And we can bring people together and get people in rooms that wouldn't normally go into rooms together. And, I do want to say, you basically did kind of say what I was going to say. Kind of. I wasn't going to say the exact way of that.
Go ahead.
So we are not an HTM organization, right? We are AAMI. We have 3 verticals: industry and emerging tech, sterilization, and HTM. And before I started working at AAMI, I only saw AAMI as an HTM association because I only knew of AAMI about the conference. Most people call it AAMI, where it's,
Right.
in the old school folks in the field will still call our conference AAMI. And I've had people come up to me in the field after speaking at these events like, wow, I thought all AAMI did was a conference once a year. So I think it is just, you become myopic in the sense that the only way you engage is the only way you think it exists. And we do so much more than that. So yeah, we're not an HTM association. So when the advocacy comes up, we have a broad constituency that we work with. We can't just advocate for one side of an argument, but what we can do is bring people together. The second misconception that I get a lot is around certification. I feel like it's constant re-education. So one thing that I always hear is your certifications are outdated. They're never updated, which is absolutely not true. We're required to update our
Doing like
certifications
6 this year.
every 5 years at a minimum.
Just recently,
And in the CVET,
Yep.
you were a part of that, right?
Yep.
And yeah, the CVET and CRES, there's a brand new test coming out this fall because of that. So we do update them every 5 years. The last 5 years ago when we did it, we added a cybersecurity section. So when people say it's updated, that's absolutely not true. We look at them every 5 years. We look at the job task analysis to ensure what we're testing folks on aligns with the job duties of the profession. The other thing I often hear is there's no way to get CEUs. I let my certification lapse. There's no opportunity for CEUs. So
I think bearded
So-
universities are out.
That's right. We have a new partnership we should talk
with
about.
Bearded, but there is, and we'll talk about that. And what don't you like that segue, Chase? I set that up really well, right? So there are so many ways to get free CEUs. You don't need to go to a fancy service school. If your hospital or employer has no budget, I just want to make sure everyone knows you can get all the CEUs you need for free without leaving your house. There's lots of free webinar series like through AAMI, Tech Nation, OR Today. If worse comes to worse, you could watch 30 webinars and you don't have to leave your house and it's free. We also have a new partnership with you, Bearded University. You want to talk about that? I feel like I'm interviewing you now. I'm so
Sure.
sorry. I flipped it, but
So we've been working on building a relationship for a while.
Yes.
And no relationship's built overnight. There has to be reputation, trust built, and
Mhm.
along with all that. And at this point, like I said, my whole point of the podcast is advocacy, awareness, education, and talking through topics that can benefit the next generation or even the current generation. So while I don't have every single episode on there, I have select episodes on there that is directly going to give you information to either possibly find a job or how to navigate recruiting, things of that nature that can be beneficial to Biomeds. I've had multiple conversations with a lot of OEMs and training companies that are going to provide me technical training on first look, PM, repairs of medical devices on there too, that they are going to be working alongside with me to provide that content. So as a Biomed, and I hear this a lot too with CEUs, well, we want more, getting into the weeds with equipment. Well, that's coming. So that's one part of that too. And I also want to speak to both things that you guys said. I would like to say that most people would at this point, hopefully they see me as an advocate for Biomed, but otherwise I might as well just hang it up. The consensus that I go to many conferences, I go to many HTMA events. I am embedded and entrenched in every way and facet form of communication with Biomed. And for some reason, I feel like there is an unfair conversation that everybody expects AAMI to solve everything. And one, you guys are not set up for that. That's not what everything that you said, that's not the mission of it. And you have many other verticals. But when I talk about, if you are a true advocate or you are wanting things to be solved within the HTM community, you can do stuff as well. Everything that I've built or I've worked on up to this point, I took that charge. And now here we are almost 5 years into when I started everything. We have multiple children's books. We have multiple podcasts. We have so many other avenues that weren't available out there because people are taking the initiative to drive their local communities or, do their part.
Right.
So for the folks that this is just something that I always say, if you want to see change, you have to put your own part into it.
Right.
It's not a one size fits all. Everybody has to contribute in their own way, and some can solve things that others can't. I know there's some things that I'll never be able to tackle an issue for HTM, but I have certain ideas and certain projects of mine that I'm constantly working on, like the foundation I started, that can address certain things. So instead of alienating or saying that somebody should do everything, we need as a field to look as a collaboration and partnership in every way and form.
Yeah.
And you just radiate it, right? Leaders find problems, but also identify solutions. You just don't identify a problem and leave it. And I feel like you just magnify that so well in everything that you do. I feel like it's a professional privilege to be in this job, in this field, to work with so many people. And part of what I find so enlightening is finding people like you out there that just grind and get it done and just want to help for the greater good without any kind of recognition. I think we all do it silently. We're not looking for awards. We're not looking for any of that, right? We're just doing it because it's the right thing to do. We want to leave the field a little bit better than we found it, and we want to make a difference. And hopefully our impact perpetuates, we were saying, even like promoting the field, and you do so much of that through Ollie the Biomed, your book that my daughter loves, by the way. We read it often together. And, it's so interesting because, being engineers and being technicians, we want things that are measurable. And when we go out and promote the field, we talk to children, we put these books out there, we make HTM in a box, for instance, all the work we've done together. You really can't measure that, right? A 5-year-old could read your book today and you'll never know if they go into the field. It's kind of like we're doing it for the greater good, and we may never know the outcome of this, but that's okay because that's making an impact. And I feel like you're such a huge part of that impact. And I just hope that you realize that. And I think on behalf of everyone at AAMI, we love our relationship with you and everything that you do.
And there's so many other people that are doing it too.
Yes, yes. But you're here.
I want to come back to the point you're making when people can be critical. And this might be another misconception. I think, I think some people think that AAMI or AAMI staff go in a closed room and develop standards or develop certifications, where the language we use internally, we don't use it externally often, but as AAMI as platform, for AAMI as a service, we're an enabler, we're a convener. We develop, constantly invest heavily in the capabilities that we provide, but we do that so that folks like you and other folks in the profession can use those capabilities to drive whatever change you're trying to produce. So when you're taking a certification, that's not something Danielle wrote the exam. That's something that went through multiple iterations of experts and multiple passes. And that's what we do as a platform, right? We have very rigorous ANSI, we follow ANSI guidelines.
I've sent in those emails with the vet.
Right.
So
You've been a part of it.
So many biomeds throughout that process that you guys vet that through.
Yeah.
Yes. And
so if you look at it and you go, well, this is wrong. Well, really? Those 30, 40, 50, by the time it's done, 60 very
experienced. It goes out for public comments.
Folks are wrong.
Do is consensus. So
when
we rewrote the test in the job task analysis to update it, it went out for public comment. Every BNet in the world had the option to comment on that if they wanted to. So it's not
we read everyone, we react everyone and put it in front of those experts.
Yeah, and certification too, if we go back to that, is governed by a board of volunteers. Sherry and I have nothing to do with it. If you appeal your certification for some reason, if you lost it or you failed the test, Sherry and I never see that. It is a board because it's a conflict of interest. It is awkward if you lost your certification and you write me a letter and I have to. So we do it that way. So it's neutral. It's governed by a separate board. It doesn't go up through Pamela or Robert or our AAMI board. There's a separate certification board. So it's and that's how all certification is run to keep it fair. So there's just a lot, I feel like certification brings out a lot of emotion in folks,
It's high
and
stakes.
it's,
Well, it shows they take it very
Very
seriously.
seriously, yeah.
There's one other thing I'd like to build on, and it kind of builds on both of your comments, Robert. As far as the communities, AAMI is really leaning into strategic initiatives for more of a platform, more tools for communities. We recognize that lion's share of information is coming across all of our volunteers. And in that instance, you're going to find in the coming year, there are strategic initiatives we're investing in so that there'll be more tools available to the communities to leverage that actually feed into our website. So you can have those tools at your disposal, as well as have things surface where they're of high interest into major feeds within our main page. So stay tuned and please get engaged because I think you're
Yeah.
going to be excited by that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a whole new website here soon, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
All right.
So one of the challenges we face, there's so much. There's with all the verticals, all the activities, standard education.
You're saying
events,
healthcare's
and-
big.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we're trying to cover all of healthcare in a way. And
Good way to
but
describe it.
we're embedding in our homepage an integrated feed from across all of the activities across AAMI. So literally like a social media site, sort of. You can just come in and check the feed and see everything that's happening at AAMI. And you'll be able to filter it by your interest area and do other things, search it. But we're trying to get to that one-stop shop for folks so they don't have to spend however much time searching the AAMI website for what they need. The key points can be right there in the feed. So
And for those community initiatives
yeah,
and
we're
community
rebuilding our community
programs,
support.
there'll be places for them to do that very important work.
Yeah, and especially around document collaboration, we have a highly bespoke document collaboration engine software that our standards team used. And it's super specific to getting things through ANSI, getting things through ISO. But we're actually taking that platform, stripping out some of the standards pieces that don't need to be there when you're just producing a white paper.
Yep.
But you still want to have the same collaborative environment. You still want to be able to put it out to the community for comment, all those kinds of things.
Strong
We're going to leave
process.
those in. So we're going to make that available to our communities, including our HTM community.
Yes.
And we should talk a little bit about the way those two communities are organized now, or
We
at least
can.
the main community. But that'll be at their disposal to create documents and
And
all
just
those kinds of things.
Sorry.
No,
Just
go ahead.
just one point of clarification. When Robert says ISO, it's International Standards Organization. I know in HTM, we use ISO for Independent Service Organizations. So just
Right,
to be
right.
clear, when
Yeah.
we're talking about standards, when we say ISO, we're talking about International Standards Organization.
Team 485.
1345. Yeah, not good.
Yep.
Good job.
There you
you
go.
go.
So talk about the new approach with the HTM group.
Yeah, so we have two communities right now within AAMI under HTM, the HTM Advisory Alliance. They're like a strategic advisory, I don't want to call them a board, but an alliance that come together and help B kind of set strategy. Obviously, we have a strategic plan, but within that, they're bringing forward challenges of suggestions for new projects and just things AAMI can do to better help and support the field. And the best part about it is the community runs itself. So if they see a problem and they bring forward a solution, they work on that solution, and AAMI gives them the tools to empower them to do that. So,
Yeah.
whether it's conference space, if they say, hey, we need to create a meeting to bring people together to talk about medical device servicing, we have our AAMI Center of Excellence. We can fit up to 300 people. They're welcome to use that gratis, right? And then maybe they want to put out, a video about something. We have a studio. They can use our resources because they're part of the AAMI family. And there's a multitude of
Same
other
with
things.
education.
Yeah, education.
Training,
Documents, they can write a white paper. We have the marketing and comms team that can edit it, put it together. So we have a lot of resources behind the scenes.
Y'all also brought all the HTMAs together.
That's the second
Yeah.
community.
Wow,
Yep,
that's
the
a good one,
HTM
yeah.
Association Collaborative once a month, but that's run by Ryan Gonzalez. He's phenomenal too. I mean, what a leader in the field. This was really his baby. He brought it up at AAMI one year and we said, well, let's make it an AAMI community. He rallied a bunch of people and they meet monthly to talk about the challenges that HTM associations face, being small nonprofits and, rallying communities together to really make these successful. And they also help, new communities start up. And we have a monthly webinar series with that too. Each webinar is worth one CEU. Each month, a different regional HTM association takes the lead. So they find the speakers. But again, we make all the social media images, we promote it, we handle the registration, we do the back end of Zoom. So we take that away. But they said, hey, and the point of that, which I loved, was there are a lot of areas in the country that aren't covered by a regional HTM association. So these folks aren't getting opportunities to get out there and network or get education in CEUs. So our thought process was, well, let's bring education everywhere through, we're not creating one society, but bringing all these associations together to really
coordinated
help
effort.
everyone.
Yeah.
That's a great.
I've sat through several of those webinars, and the cool
here
part
for
is
I know.
you have individual HTMAs, like you said, they picked out their own vendors. The last one I sat on was for IV pumps.
Yeah.
And it was very insightful. They got somebody that's their subject matter.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can learn about the HTMA, but you're also getting technical know-how as well. And you get to see EU from it. So it's win-win.
The communities, the way they're being organized, the tools we're putting at their disposal. And you mentioned the ACE, hosting in-person meetings. We have virtual meeting capability. We have the studio. We have a training capability. Certifications, longer cycle, and we don't build certifications lightly, but we're looking at a couple of new ones in this space right now based on member and stakeholder feedback. And so all of these tools are there. So I love the point you made. If you see a problem or an issue and you're willing to show the leadership around it, then come forward. Let us know what it is. We don't say yes to everything, but we say yes to most things. And we try and support them as best we can. And all these tools are at your disposal.
I'll give an example of a gap that was identified during lunch. We were talking about expert insights and how someone can take their knowledge base and share it with the broader community. And there's a lot of excitement in the dental space that we're finding here to be able to get
education.
those kind of education opportunities.
And I think one other point to make is we live off of volunteers. We cannot do everything we do. We've put out 30 different HTM resource documents in the past 7 years that I've been here.
And translated some of them to what, 9 languages?
In 9 different languages. Our HTM benchmarking guide has just been translated into 9 different languages so we can be able to get it across the world. But we can't do that without volunteers. The people that did first pass at that, we found, HTM professionals in different countries willing to translate that. And just all the other documents, it's the ideas of the field that, we make them come to life and we help them, but it's all the volunteers. And I cannot do my job. This vertical would not be successful without all of the volunteers that show up every day on top of their regular 9-to-5 jobs or even more than that. So, for me, I just want to say how grateful I am of the support that I've had from the broader community for the past 7 years, because we've done a lot of work. I couldn't have done it without all of you. So
Robert made a good point earlier today too, that this is not a short process.
no,
Take years.
for standards,
Yeah. Anything you're trying to build a movement or solve an issue, more often than not, I think people want to have that dopamine rush. They want to have immediate satisfaction or reach that goal that, they see in their mind as attainable. But more often than not, especially larger issues within our community, it's a marathon.
Right.
It's showing up when you need to show up. It's putting in the work when you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
It's having those meetings or those discussions with folks or reaching out to people and communities you've never had. So there's so much on the back end involved with it that, I will say from at least my standpoint, partnerships, the networking, the relationships that I've built over the years, a lot of those started because me being a part of the AAMI Exchange.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Well,
we want
it takes a
everyone to
long time, but the
experience it.
impact is generational. You think, Amy's been around 55 years and we're standing on the shoulders of all the people that came before us. And they've solved a lot of problems that we take for granted now and that make healthcare safer every day, no matter what, whether it's mainline healthcare, dental, whatever it is. And the problems we're working on now will raise the bar just that much higher for a generation. And there's also the other reason these things take time is this pretty high stakes business, right? We don't want to get things wrong. It's worth taking the time to get things right because we have been preceded by this huge group of people that have done all this great work for many decades. You don't change those things lightly. You don't move quickly. Sometimes you have to move quickly. Things emerge, things happen, pandemics happen, et cetera. But we want to carefully and methodically keep raising the bar year after year after year. And, if we've been around 55 years, I assume Amy will be around another 55 years and long after I'm not involved in it or any of us. And I just hope they look back at what we did and say that we tackled the challenges of the day and got to the next level, because there's some crazy stuff coming down the pike in emerging tech, whether it's AI, whether it's more robotics, autonomy in devices. We're talking about, instead of today, a device that injects any substance into your body, the device is approved with a compound that it's intended its own insulin pump. We could be in a future where we have a device that can inject any compound into your body as needed, any pharmaceutical product. And maybe it's also got onboard sensors. And so it's actually maybe autonomously making, not current state, I'm not proposing, but autonomously making decisions about that. And so these are radical changes in the way healthcare is going to be delivered. And we're the generation that gets to figure out how to make that work. That's kind of cool.
It's fun.
But we got to get it right.
It's fun, but the stakes are.
They are high, indeed. Indeed.
What would you leave the audience with?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to find your why and leave your legacy in HTM when we talk about all of this, or AAMI in general. But, we have the ability to make such an impact as individual citizens in our fields, and our reach is broader than we think. And I think it's really just getting out there and making a difference. I always say, when I give my keynotes, if every single one of us went out and gave one presentation about the field, think of how many more people we would reach. It's really just not talking about it, but doing, and then, getting out there and being a leader. So if I could motivate anyone to do anything, it's really just to sit back, find your why, and when you're long gone, how do you want to be remembered, and what do you want people to say about you?
Pretty good. I almost hate to try and add to that. I would say do one thing. So AAMI can be daunting to people. There's so much going on. It's big. There's lots of activities, but pick one thing. Probably the best way to get just immersed in AAMI is to come to AAMI Exchange, but that's not possible for everyone. So watch the live stream that we do from AAMI Exchange would be a way to learn a little bit more about it. Or if you can't do that, come participate in a podcast, participate in the many things you guys do online. Just find one thing and try it. And then you can try another thing and another thing, but you don't have to show up knowing where you're going to fit into AAMI.
Yeah.
I've been here 7 years, and I think I've only just figured it out now how I fit, and I'm on staff. So it's daunting, but just pick one thing and do it.
I'll offer that you actually covered what I was thinking relative to the legacy, because they all have that capability. But if you think of the legacy and recognizing one thing, take it at a step at a time. I just want you to know that AAMI's there to support you. And when in doubt relative to resources, reach out to us, because if we don't currently offer it, we're looking for new ways to support that why, that legacy, and make a difference. And we appreciate all of you.
So the one thing she said, just reach out to Danielle.
Oh.
And the way to
That's
do
your
that,
thing.
if you're not following Danielle McGeary on LinkedIn right now, go find Danielle McGeary and follow her on LinkedIn. That's easy. Everyone can do that. It's a perfect first step. So follow Danielle.
But if you're in the HTM community, for the love of God, get a LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Maybe step one.
You don't.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you don't have to post on there all the time, but information's being shared there, networking's being shared there, recruiting, jobs, training. There's so much that we share on that platform. You should have a LinkedIn. Newer generation, current generation. If you're retired, well, that's up to you.
Yes.
It'd be like being in the
I
financial
agree.
services and not reading the Wall Street Journal every day. You just don't do it. You need to be plugged into the information.
We don't choose where we get our information from all the time. The community as a whole, that's where a lot of the information is going. Yes, there's backdoor channels, but the foresight, the upfront in your face information for the HTM community is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
it's a great resource. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would cap this off because everything you guys said on point, but I'll just leave it with the motto of my foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's be the current, amplify potential, build the future.
I like it.
Bearded
That's all great.
Biomed.